Hello to this episode of the Dust Settles podcast, international for a change. And I hope my English is okay enough. If you can't hear it, it's okay, then just go. But today, and this is why I have this weird costume on. I am talking with Gordon L. Schmitz, a good friend of mine, theater producer, author, and a big enthusiast for Sherlock Holmes. And we are talking today about Young Sherlock, the new series from Guy Ritchie, and about Gordon L. Schmidt's own personal relationship to Sherlock Holmes because he has his own production, his own theater production of Sherlock Holmes. And I'm very excited to talk about this. So let the dust settle. Change the shirt. So it's an international episode suddenly. No, I'm trying to stick with English now.
Yes, let's do that.
Okay. Because I never have the opportunity to practice. And we just finished the German version of the Das Sellers podcast, and this is the international version. So if you understand what I'm saying, I'm sorry for the English, for the German accent.
No,
And
it's hardly noticeable.
yeah, I had an Irish artist here, and she said, "No, you definitely have a German accent." It's so thanks for being nice, but yeah, but I watched the whole Young Sherlock show in English because I just couldn't listen to the German voice actors. I don't know why. I thought I would prefer it in German because the
Yeah.
Germans have so nice words from this period, time period, and I thought it would be
And
better. But
British sounded shit at that time. No, so
no, I didn't say that. You just said that. No, but no,
British,
but no,
no,
I just
calling it
preferred.
British.
I prefer the Sherlock Holmes with Robert Downey Jr. from Guy Ritchie
Yeah.
in German
Mm.
because maybe because the voice actors are better or I don't know, but the style of what they say
Yeah.
in the time period in German is what I prefer to hear when I'm hearing German words or so.
There's
But the just one
oh,
thing, but the English for example, you can't mimic Moriarty from Young Sherlock in German. It doesn't work.
yeah, yeah,
You can't play him as well as the original. So
yeah,
that's what I
because
want
of
to
the
say.
Irish accent, because they finally
And his
not all do
charm.
that. Yeah, not all do that. Not all address that Moriarty is an Irish name, and that they went for it here. It is a very nice touch. Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. From Donald Finn. I haven't opened the cast list. I have it open here now because I wanted to know Xiao Wei, what her name was. The actress was Zena Tseng and so on, and or Natasha McElhone, Cordelia Holmes. That her name is Cordelia. Because I'm so bad with names, I just don't care. I care only for the concept of the character. So, oh, that's Mama Holmes. That's Mama Holmes is good. So, because she's the heart of the story and so on. By the way, for all the that are listening, spoiler
Spoilers
for
ahead.
everything, even for the plays from Gordon L. Schmitz, which is my guest here, obviously, like I said in the cold opener. And yeah, you are. Yeah, what is your opinion of Young Sherlock for the English listeners?
I absolutely adore the show. It's brilliant. It's brilliantly made. So showrunner, producer Guy Ritchie did an extraordinary job translating his style and the style he showed in his two Sherlock Holmes movies. He let's say he infused the same energy um, without making the show a carbon copy of it.
Yes,
So it doesn't feel like it is a spin-off because it isn't. It is
it
based on
isn't.
a very
No.
successful series of novels, but it feels unmistakably his Holmes.
Mhm.
Um, though it's a different time and different worlds, different approaches to the characters. But um, it's so good to have him back because Game of Shadows, his last Holmes work, is what 13 years old already, and they simply
2008.
yeah, and they
Yeah.
simply can't manage to produce a third part, and it's terrible. They switch directors in the meantime, um, be, because it somehow has to move forward. So when Guy Ritchie said, I'm tackling the series of novels," I was very happy, and yeah,
Wait,
we needed Holmes.
what did you just say about the third part? What?
Yeah, so basically, right after the success of Game of Shadows, they said we will, of course, want to do a third part,
Yeah.
and they hired writers. And but Robert Downey did all those Marvel movies, those little independent Marvel movies, uh, and
It was Dr. Dolittle.
yeah, and yeah, that could have been good,
No,
but
but they didn't do a
wasn't.
third one, did they?
No,
Not
they
yet.
have not, and they
Okay.
switched as I said. So they hired Dexter Fletcher, who, for example, did Rocket Man, the brilliant Elton John biopic. Um, but it simply does not move forward,
Hmm.
mainly because Robert Downey is now doing Marvel again.
Another little Marvel
It doesn't
project.
stop. Yeah, yeah. It's a
Yeah.
shame because the first Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes movie is amazing. But Game of Shadows, of course, is an absolute adventure masterpiece.
Hmm.
It would have been exciting to see where they would go after such a high. So let's hope they tackle it finally. They just abduct Robert Downey from the set of um, Avengers
Yeah.
120.
Doomsday.
This day, the Dalmatians are real or whatever. Yeah. So
Yeah, I'm just I'm currently rewatching the whole MCU Infinity Saga, and there's a difference between the first few movies and now the movies we had the past 5 years after Endgame. So there's such a difference. But yeah, because there's no Robert Downey Jr. Maybe no, I don't know.
yeah,
Uh, no, but what I wanted to say is the world from Guy Ritchie. If you loved the world from Guy Ritchie, which I did, from the Sherlock Holmes movie and the Game of Shadows movie, then you will love actually the Young Sherlock world, I would say, because it's the same costumes, the same dynamic from people, which we already discussed in German. They move and feel and talk like friends,
yeah,
Moriarty and Sherlock, for example, but also Mycroft and Sherlock and so on have their own dynamic, and it's lively, it's good. It feels real kind of
yeah.
way in my experience from my life, but they are not the exact same characters from the movies. For example, Mycroft is like the opposite. He's not someone that is naked in his home and has no contact with anyone, but he's more like Mycroft from the Sherlock series from BBC with Benedict Cumberbatch, more than from the movies.
Because in the books, so also in the second Guy Ritchie movie, Mycroft has settled into this life of being such an integral part of the British government, or as Holmes once
Mm,
says, he is the British government. He is just starting out, and
yeah.
um, there are some obstacles in his way in this show. So he has to be out in the field because at that point of his career, he has no other choice than to be out. Not as much in the field as he probably. He's thrown much more into action as he likes,
Yeah,
um,
definitely.
but he has to be somewhat of an government agent still, not a secret agent, but
Mm,
um, someone who really still has to do the footwork. But I believe when I watched the dynamic between those two, that those are Sherlock and Mycroft, and that is
yes.
it. The relationship between Holmes and Moriarty, between um, Holmes and Silas, his father, between the brothers, and even between, let's say, our heroes and the Chinese princess in the middle of the mystery, as we think at first, is believable,
Mm,
is layered, and
mm,
is filled with a dynamic that makes you want to watch more and more and more
Yes.
seasons. And they're not just, of course, not the characters we know, but they are filled with, let's say, such layers that you cannot, except for Sherlock, say if they are truly good, truly bad, where their intentions lie, what their allegiance to another is, up until the very basically last scene, except for
Mm,
the post-credit scene. There is a tension in the air.
yeah.
There is already there are games played. There are you know
Lies.
there are lies and there are the possibility of betrayal is in the air.
Yeah.
And that is why this show has a very nice mid-credit scene. In fact, about this supposed Chinese princess.
Oh, the
Yeah,
post-credit scene, you mean? Okay.
yeah. I think it's mid-credit one. Um,
Oh, okay, because there's credits after that. Okay.
yeah, but it doesn't matter. But she's reunited with her sister. She comes to a
Mm,
village, announcing that she was successful, and that is beautiful because our main heroes, our main story, ends on a, a bit of a bitter note of mistrust, of secrets kept between more than,
mm.
in fact, two characters. So it's good that this show, this season, ends on such an optimistic note. Yeah,
Yeah, there's a closure with the post-credit scene or the mid-credit scene through Chow Wei, which started the whole story, started the whole journey from Sherlock, if you will, because she insinuated this robbery in the library, I guess, and there
yeah,
was something else she plotted, and only Sherlock and Moriarty together could go on this journey to involve her to solve her problems in another way than she thought at the beginning. And to know that in the first season, her journey ends this with such a nice, such a warm ending, as you said, because I didn't see it. I
yeah,
started this podcast 5 minutes after it ended. I ended the episode, but that there's a post-credit scene, I didn't know. I think about it, and you just said, "Oh, there's a post-credit scene because you just saw it 5 minutes before me too." Before we started the podcast, and so I have to see it still, but. Yeah, it's nice to know that her journey could just be over. It's
yeah,
yeah, it's enough and we have enough other doors to go through with
yeah,
Holmes, with Moriarty, and to see. I'm pleased to see. Even he was a small character, and I'm not a big fan whatsoever from Lestrade, but he
yeah,
was very good. I liked him very much in this show, Lestrade, and the dynamic with Mycroft, where they were investigating and so on, and trying to redeem themselves in a way. And yeah, I'm very interested to see more about, from the show, from these actors, the dynamics, how they evolve between Sherlock and Moriarty, especially, and of course, and that is just prove how good, how well written these characters are, and the journey is from everyone.
yeah. The cast is amazing. The dynamic between them is amazing. Um, you you want more of those actors together, and I can only hope they are smart enough
Hmm.
to, in 20 years' time or what, cast main actors as the older versions of
Mm.
um, of those beloved figures.
Yeah, we've got to see because like I said, I couldn't really. I didn't like the portrayal at first
Yeah,
from the actor who plays Sherlock from Hero Finds Tiffin. But I stayed with the show because of Donald Finn's uh, Moriarty, because of his
yeah,
portrayal of this character. I don't know if this is now my favorite Moriarty. I think there's lots to we have much to see in the future how he portrays this character, how this
yeah,
character develops. But I think he could someday challenge. Jared Harris Moriarty, I guess.
Yeah, that's the thing when you portray a character for a longer period, when you have the
Mm-hmm.
chance to do it in a
Yes.
in a movie, but over years and years, then you
Mm.
can explore it differently. Especially as Moriarty only appears in the flesh, in one Sherlock Holmes story, if
True.
you wanted to. So that means the character has one scene in the original stories. He has one single scene. So there is
And the
much to do.
carriage, right?
No, it's in fact, well, yeah, Watson sees him from afar, but he goes and has a confrontation with Sherlock Holmes in Baker Street in the final problem. And of course, you know, don't if you don't make this character into a caricature, you can do 1,000 things with him.
Yeah. You have to know what you're talking about because you have something to do with Moriarty, I guess.
Yes, I do. So I'm producing those 10 plays, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, this theatrical season here in Prague. So one show every month, one adaptation of a classic Conan Doyle short story, but the plays are 60 to 90 minutes long. We started with a rather short Scandal in Bohemia, and to flesh it out, we added a reading of Holmes and Watson's first meeting to the beginning. And well, the rest was so dynamic that everyone said, yeah, well, that we could have done without the reading. And it was planned to do it much more mixed media at the beginning and have all those plays be very black box and small and scaled back. But we were so successful that we doubled our audience with two performances. Our actors brought so much to the table that we have now really expanded our world. We have recurring characters, always played by the same actors. So the readings and all those other ideas are now completely out, and we focus to expand those tales on stage. We have fight choreographers, we have live violin and live piano music. We, in the last show, introduced, or we showed an epilogue that was filmed before by my videographer, the brilliant Lexi Clark. Extraordinary person, extraordinary artist. Yeah, it's a pleasure to work with Lexi, and she really elevates a marketing campaign and brings our place now to a different level with this, yeah, let's say mixed media presentation. And the audience loved that so much that we will now do that more. We will film certain scenes and show them during the performances. We did not know how big this would become. We also have this wonderful Midnight Gazette, a fake newspaper, in-world newspaper that we publish every month anew with a completely new edition by Al's crochet work, um, which has become a very popular item, not just among the cast, but as every audience member gets handed such a newspaper that is now 4 pages long. We started also with two, now it's 4 pages long. We urge people to take a picture in front of a Prague monument with the Midnight Gazette so people can win free tickets. Someone has actually done that in London. Someone has brought a
Nice.
newspaper to Baker Street and did a picture in front of the Holmes statue and in front of the friggin' Holmes Museum at 221 Baker Street.
Nice.
It's our fictitious world has crossed over to the real world as much as you can say that in the context of Holmes. It's absolutely crazy.
It's so nice that you invite your audience to participate in all this things, in this whole Sherlock Holmes universe, if you will, because they have this magazine and they go to London, for example, or wherever they want to go, and are in some way a part of it. That's
Yeah.
just a nice gesture or idea.
And not just do we invite that, but we also do a question and answer round after every performance, so that they can get to know us better. They can, it's not just curtain call goodbye. It's like, hey, do you want to know how this came together? Why we made certain decisions? Do you want to talk to the director, to the author, the playwright? Do you want to talk to the actors? And especially for those people who come back every time, and that is now a
Mm.
big chunk of the audience. I mean, we're talking about, we started our theater with 50 seats. and now we are at over 100 seats. Not the theater has 100 seats, but I tend to oversell my shows. The theater has asked me not to do that, but yes. So
What
um,
can you do?
what can you do? And that's we give the people this opportunity to say, okay, how did this come together compared to, let's say, the last show? Or I see the trajectory from the second now to the seventh show or whatever. Yeah, that is beautiful. It's beautiful to see those faces, to walk through the foyer of a theater and shake so many hands of people who I'd never met before this show, just because I'm so familiar with them, because they come to every show.
Hmm.
It's it's such an absolute thing of beauty. It's wonderful.
It's like a communal work, or almost, or it sounds like it, because you're coming
Community.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're coming together. You're inviting the people not to only to participate, but also you show on your social media accounts and so on. Your all your marketing is surrounded by the insights behind the scenes.
Yeah.
You show the table read, you show the people what they think, or how they engaged with a role or with another actor or actress or so on.
Yeah.
And you just give the people the opportunity to see you from several points than just only from the stage.
I think it's silly to do a project over 10 months and just present people with posters and finished products.
Mm,
We want to take the audience on this journey.
nice.
And this can only work if they see us, well, basically in street clothes, working our asses off. Because that is what our actors do. Those people have become not just friends, but after a table read, you immediately see Paul Oliver, our wonderful Watson, who is a dialect coach, grabbing actors to the side, um, grabbing them, pulling them to the side, and talk with them about pronunciation, about accents, about because we have a very international cast, how to pronounce this word, that word, how to find tricks to work around their natural accent and find the British way of
Mm,
doing it, or the appropriate approach. Um, we see our Holmes and Watson meeting in private, especially at the beginning of those productions. For weeks they met in the afternoon, in the evening, and you know figured not just the accent out, but their roles and their approaches, and how to make it even sharper, and how to make it even more focused and more Conan Doyle. We have musicians who were in the audience and said, "Can I be part of this?
nice.
I don't even live in Prague, but I would come back just to play, the cello, this one, for example, in the next one." I mean,
It's so nice to hear
yeah,
that there's so much love for this project from so many angles, from so many people, that they give so much more than they input than they should or must or have to, or so
yeah.
on,
In
beyond
some ways,
their paycheck. And it's very, I mean, there's the passion behind the scenes, and so there's the passion on the stage. And
well, I'm working with a
but
wonderful director who also is a playwright, Hannah Ripper, and she was in the audience and she said, "Gordon, this is wonderful. Can I try my hand at writing something?" Because we're still missing a playwright for one single play. And her directions were so precise that I said, I mean, whoever directs this will have an easy job. And now because she is also an aspiring director, she has done several plays. She is now doing that. And then one evening we sat together and said, okay, so we still try to figure out, the second to last Holmes play. And, her eyes just went wide. And there was this spark, which I love so much, and the people I work with. And now she is not also doing this. She is also, um, as it looks like, the writer, because she loved it. wouldn't let go, and I love that. Go for it with all your passion. To do one of the home spin-off plays we are going to do. So that is the beauty of it. Those incredible people, from the stunt coordinator to our new sound designer, um, to professional musicians that say, okay, I cannot play in this, but let's sit down and I will give you a selection of songs that someone can play.
Mm,
So all those incredible artists that enrich the Prague theater scene right now so much, and this is the theater capital of Europe, and they say, let me take this on in my free time for
mm,
fun. Let's expand this. Let's just let's be better, not just every single time, but let's create the project of a lifetime, because that is it. When my cast uh, gifted me a beautiful Christmas card for Christmas, as well as Sherlock Holmes socks, by the way. Paul Watson really wrote, "Thanks for giving me the role of a lifetime," and I teared up. I just teared up. That
yeah,
that was, I mean, to see a cast that is so appreciative of a producer's work is rare. But this has become family. This My family resides in Baker Street. Um, Joseph Swanson, one of our lead directors, calls my living room or apartment Baker Street. He said, "Yeah, we rehearse at Baker Street," and it feels like that. It feels like those people coming together in the calmness and the coziness of this space. Um, and I realized, yes, Sherlock Holmes, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, that is the project of a life. To have the chance to do 10 plays in a row with this incredible cast, those artists, with recurring characters, even expanding a world, having someone take care of a newspaper, and that the audience eats it up so much. Who can be so lucky in theater, in any job, to experience something like that ever?
not many.
You know?
But it's so beautiful to hear that which you picked off, which you started off, touched so many other people's lives, and they are so their life could have went in any direction, and they met you, and so they are part of this Sherlock Holmes story, or stories, if you will,
Mhm.
of this world, of this Baker Street,
Yeah,
which you
yeah.
mentioned. And there's a spin-off coming up, which you mentioned, and it's so beautiful to hear that they are not only happy but also growing as people, as actors and artists and so on. It's um yeah, and you are therefore there. I mean, you could write on your gravestone someday, "I did that." So that's a good thing, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. If someone finally drives a stake through my heart and cuts my head off, there could be a gravestone.
Yeah,
So
in your castle.
yeah, and yeah, seriously, we cannot stop this. We said it from the beginning. We cannot
Shouldn't.
stop this. No, we should.
Don't.
No, so we will do a Hound of the Baskervilles, of course, the most famous home story.
Yeah.
We will throw all the parts up in the air and grab them and see what we can do with them. And well, I do not just have an idea about the character of James Moriarty because I produce Holmes, but because I play Professor James Moriarty in The
Mm,
Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. And the original idea was that I would only have an appearance in the final problem, so the one Moriarty
yes.
story. But as the world around Moriarty grew and we introduced characters working for him,
Mm.
um, like
Sebastian
Nishan
Moran.
as Colonel Sebastian Moran, his right-hand man, or we created the character of Victoria Larue.
Oh, so she's an original character
She,
for the
yeah,
story.
yeah. So she was supposed to be our version of a female character, an unnamed female character that appears in one show to kill another character. And I
Hmm.
said, hey, isn't that character an agent of Moriarty? Because I wanted to connect those stories.
Nice idea.
And then we cast a brilliant actress named Hedo Hell, and yet that is her real name. Um, and her energy alone was so incredible that we said, no, we have to put her in more shows. And her talent, her energy, and her ideas, because she could flesh out the biography of a character, is very much responsible for us, expanding this world. And then we wrote a certain backstory for her, and then it all came together so brilliantly, that I said, look, you're all part of this world and it's expanding, and I have to wait until the very final show and
Yeah.
one scene. No, I want to be part of
Yeah, I
this.
guess. I guess.
And so I had my first appearance, though, in the shadows, in last month's home show, when we did this one scene as a short movie. Um, and well, slight spoiler, you will see more of me before the final plot. So yeah, Moriarty is out there.
But
Um,
how fitting is it that the guy that is the producer of all of it is also the orchestrator behind the scenes in the
yeah,
story?
yes,
It's so nice. I still have to make the final poster of this show because
yes,
yeah,
yes. Yeah, that
there's
should be
much to
mentioned.
do.
You are the poster designer for the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah,
Come on,
I'm
that,
very pleased to be part of this, of all this love, of this story making, of this growing. I'm very proud of that, that I can be part of it, that you gave me the opportunity. And I really, I love Sherlock Holmes. Maybe not as much as you do, but I'm not Moriarty. Uh, no, but it's a really great chance to be part of it and to see that the you are pleased with it, that the people love that, to see the posters, and I like my designs for the posters, so I'm pleased.
me too, and as is the audience. I mean, um, it's wonderful to have such strong graphics connected to every play. And by the way, the poster for the current show is every month my background on my phone. Yeah, so I
I will
change
be
it.
safe this time. Okay.
Yeah, I change it
I think
every.
that was the very first poster I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so I change that. So every day after a performance into the next one, the upcoming.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you're in the vibe, in the feeling. You wrote me or you said to me that it provides a little bit, at least a little bit, of vibe of feeling for this whole
Yes. Yes.
shtick,
Yeah.
play,
Uh,
world, whatever.
and when you promote a play, especially if it's a recurring play, or if it's a series, people make the mistake that they use, let's say, key artwork in their advertising, or different approaches to posters, or fonts that are different every time, because it is in some ways a brand. You
Hmm.
can and should, as I think, connect, you know,
Hmm.
one idea, one image, one graphic, one style um, to a recurring thing.
Yeah, right. No, of course. And like I said, I really loved to work on this and to be part of the idea process, how everything should look like, with the trains, for example, or how the safe should come out from the shadow or look like it's much, or how it looks. I can express it better, but I'm very proud of being part of it. And
Oh, I have an
yeah.
idea. Because you mentioned it, we have those wonderful interviews Lexi does, with the creatives. I think she should interview you too. I mean, those are 2-minute interview
All
clips on
right.
social media, but
Might be a
I
good
will
idea.
connect to you, and you
Yeah.
should definitely talk about your poster works. Yeah, you should do that. Lexi has
If
a
that's relevant,
yeah,
I
it is. I said to Lexi herself last month, well, you should do an interview with yourself. Lexi, we need a Lexi
right.
interview. You are
Yeah, you said
videographer,
that.
there's so much responsible for the advertising. People should know you. And then she said, yeah, I can do it at the Dear Watson Partner Pub, the Sherlock Holmes themed pub that opened just a week after the premiere of our first show. And I said, Lexi, you're in London next week. do it at the actual space. Do it in London. And so she did. So we had a
Yeah.
wonderful interview with our videographer in London. So I think she should interview you too. Yes,
Yeah,
too.
that's a nice idea. She should do that. Um, with my broken English. But what yeah, I am still curious. If you could maybe tell anything about your Moriarty, because it's my favorite character, I guess, from every Sherlock Holmes story. And I'm okay, almost. Well, Sherlock BBC is not my favorite Moriarty. Uh, even though I love the actor, okay. But no, do you want to, or could you tell anything about your Moriarty? How you want to portray him, maybe, or what are your inspirations, or
I mean,
if there's something significant about him?
my favorite Moriarty was played by Jared Harris, who is
Mm.
also my favorite actor, and I consider him the best actor in the world. And my wife saw him today because Jared Harris is in Prague because shooting the new season of Foundation and the new Scorsese movie too. So they grabbed him because they said, "Well, he's doing this show right now in Prague, and we are doing this film in Prague. Why not just grab him?"
Yeah.
And yeah, just by accident incident, she met him at the Central Station, and Jerry Harris saw her and looked up and down because my wife has very interesting style, fiery red coat and asymmetric hairstyle, and he looked at her and nodded at her in approval. And now I'm always in awe of my wife, but my God, to be in the presence of someone who was in the presence of so
Amazing.
yeah,
For
that's
for 1 second there, I thought you would go over to the side and Jared Harris would come. But that's amazing that he's there. But back to Moriarty. Tell me
so.
about your Moriarty.
My Moriarty is very much true to the idea of Conan Doyle, of this unassuming math professor who is not, you know, a mustache twirling supervillain,
Mm,
who is instead um, someone who has no interest in this kind of shenanigans, this kind of, let's say, cliche psychopath, power hungry, power demonstrations. He, even in the short film we shot, is just sitting in a chair reading his book, saying 3 lines at his right hand man about fucking things up. And while Moran still explains himself, defends himself because he knows this could go wrong any minute, Moriarty turns back to his book and just reads. No screaming, no power demonstration. He is the Napoleon of crime, as Conan Doyle wrote. He is the most dangerous man in London, the most powerful criminal of his generation in Great Britain. Um, he does not need anything about himself that is threatening. So we established so much about Moriarty. We have so many people who react to Moriarty. We have his hench people running around town. Um, and also speaking of Moriarty in fear. So there was one play where Moran basically, made a terrible mistake. And Victoria scolded him for it and said, the professor will blame me for this. And then, as an example, what happens with people who disappoint Moriarty, I incorporated real life crime. The Pinchin Street torso, that was the torso of a woman found without limbs and without a head in London during Victorian
that's
times.
a true thing.
That is a true thing. And of course, an unsolved crime until this day can never be solved. How? But I said, okay, that was some agent of Moriarty who, well, messed up a job, and that
Mm,
was the punishment. So when I will finally come on stage as Moriarty, I don't have to, threaten him
mm.
with, my physical
Peasants.
presence or whatever. I mean, I always say Asha, who plays Holmes, is twice as tall as I am. So
Mm.
But the people in the audience have heard so much about that character
Hmm.
that the work is done. I
Nice.
just have to come on stage and
Yeah,
everyone says, "Oh yeah, that we heard things about that character." That
the
does the
f- the thing is, the fear might be, uh, what I think the fear might be that it could be a disappointment. All the anticipation, all the build up, and then it's just a guy. But maybe that's the brilliant. It's just a
well.
guy.
That's the thing. The guy is played by not just a guy.
Yeah, right. It's played by the guy.
To play this role for 15 years, I
Yeah,
have an idea.
yeah.
I have an idea.
True,
I have a look,
true.
I have a costume, I have everything ready. I know my lines. Um, yeah, so I don't have to be physically imposing or do anything
No,
rash.
yeah.
I will come on stage and no one will have any doubt. Oh yeah, this is an evil math teacher.
Like every math teacher.
I said it at the last talk back, that he is a math teacher gives away that he is the villain.
Yeah, pretty much. For us artistic people, yes.
Oh,
Um, yeah, okay. And you're right because you're not telling everything. I mean, how could you? So I can imagine that. Okay, first of all, he seems very average, a math teacher doing his thing, not very imposing, not very frightening or something. And then I bet it's the little things. It's the nuances or something. But it's a guess. I don't know. I hope I could see it
thing is,
somehow. Maybe someone will film it or so.
I'm also the yes, we have so Lexi Films all performances, so you will have that.
Okay.
But we have so let's say, luckily, I'm also the writer and director of that play, so I know exactly how this will play out. I know exactly um, it will, most of it will be Arthur Conan Doyle. So there is, I think, maybe one line in it that is not from the Arthur Conan Doyle confrontation between Holmes and Moriarty. And then I added, but I won't spoil that, I added another line. Um, because as I said, Asher is, when I first met him, I described him as the two tallest person I ever met stacked on top of each other. So, and I am not.
Yeah.
I am not tall. And so I want to address that as the story ends with our characters wrestling each other over waterfall.
Right.
Um, so that will also, that sentence that I will say that I won't spoil now, will give you a good idea of my Moriarty. So sorry,
Mm.
English listeners, you have no choice. You have to see the final problem.
So really, that's amazing. That's and it's fitting. Or it's very well thought out that you use things that are special to this play, to
Mm.
the dynamics of your actors, your artists that are there, and that you are therefore not only using every line from Sherlock Holmes from the books one to one, but you really think about okay, who's on stage, what dynamic is realistic, and so
Yes,
on. Or
and
yeah,
our playwrights now write specifically for our Holmes and Watson, for their dynamic, for our
nice.
Mrs. Hudson, played brilliantly by Nicole Edelman. So we had this wonderful situation for the second to last home show where the director, the two leads, and I got together and reviewed the play written by another playwright here from Prague, who had also written our version of Scandal in Bohemia. And we went through every scene, every page, every line, everything, and said, okay, do we need this? What works better for our Holmes and Watson? Because we are now so much more familiar with it. And I, after the December show, said things will take a dark turn. So the stories have become, or are even becoming more darker now. Really, really dark. So
Snyder
cut
Cut's dark. Sorry.
We cut out the humor.
Yeah.
Uh, we made sure that it follows more what we had established. He knew the performances, but we just knew it better. And in the end, first I have to say it was a wonderful experience to sit down for 2 hours with those extraordinary artists, um, and just work through a script, and discuss changes and discuss cuts. It's incredibly fulfilling. It was beautiful. So thanks to Levan, our wonderful director on this one. I have to say it. I have to, give a shout out. Um, but he said every time, the director, okay, I changed something because Arthur Conan Doyle did it better. And that our people still get back to the original stories and say, okay, those ideas are great, but my gosh, Conan Doyle knew what he was doing. We are still reading those stories, as I said, 120 years later for a reason. I mean, more than 120. We are now at, what is
140
it?
now.
Yeah, it's crazy, and we are still here. We're having a podcast discussing a new Amazon Prime show and discussing my place. I mean, it's brilliant. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. And well, let's go back to Conan Doyle and see what he has to say. Yeah.
Mm. I just uh I just thought with the Young Sherlock show now, are there any inspirations, anything you would like to adapt or make similar in your plays?
Mm, I mean, the suits are incredible. So it's
Yeah, of
it's
course.
of course it looks incredible. Yeah, of course it does. But we had a wonderful moment at one of our talkbacks, when an audience member who has worked with me before said, so a great actor, he played my Hastings to my Poirot in Black Coffee. He said, "Where did you get those outfits from?" And I said, "Okay, please raise your hand if you wore something from my personal cover tonight." And all the male actors raised their Yeah, so I guarantee you my shows are entertaining and my shows have brilliantly dressed actors.
True, true. All your profit comes in your wardrobe, comes into your wardrobe. So the male actors can someday wear it.
I mean, at some point they said, okay, want to do more with the costumes, and the two leads, they bought new suits. They pieced together over
Nice.
weeks their outfits. So by now, the only thing worn by Holmes or Watson owned by me, while at the beginning they nearly everything they wore was by me. The only thing now is Sherlock's um, coat. That is
Hmm,
the only thing. They chime in with their own money, their time, their energy, just because they love this so much.
that's amazing.
And
That's
um,
great.
yeah, I,
So-
I had a very, very successful week. So I'm now doing more camera acting, and several directors have approached me to be in their short films, and I had a few castings. And I'm meeting with another director today, and I'm also meeting with a director who wants to work for me because I got a plane to a festival. And it's been an incredible week, but I missed quite a few rehearsals, and I miss the guys. I miss the guys so much. I
Nice.
cannot wait for the weekend just to be with them in a rehearsal space again for a few hours and to be in awe, because, and that goes for everyone on the team, when we open a Sherlock Holmes story by Arthur Conan Doyle or any prestige, any uh, story written after him, Holmes and Watson are our Holmes and Watson,
Yes.
and that's beautiful.
And I didn't even see one play, but I mean I
I
see
will send
this.
you recordings.
Please do. But I what I saw was all the social media things that were posted, and I really I really felt the not only the dynamic but the I that they are iconic as this duo of Sherlock Holmes and Dr.
Yeah.
Watson. They are really not like, oh, Sherlock from BBC or whatever, or Jude Law and Robert Downey Jr. No, they are their own thing, and they are fitting exactly for Gordon L. Schmitz's Sherlock Holmes world,
Yeah.
I'd say.
So we did an impromptu photo shoot before the first play in around the corner from me in their costumes with Holmes and Watson. And when I look at those pictures now, when I look at those pictures, at current pictures of them and their roles on stage, it's like those are nearly different people. They didn't have their character, they had not portrayed their characters. But I mean, next to nothing has changed. Even when they still wore those costumes, but there is something about them now that is just different.
Hmm.
They're, and just looking at the pictures, of course, the performance, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, if you play character seven, in seven plays, of course, performance one is different than performance seven. But just looking at the pictures, it's like, no, um, the way they even their eyes um dart into the you know to
Distant.
the thank you distance.
In the
It's
distance.
somehow different. Whew, it's a pleasure
Confident.
to yeah, it's a pleasure to live in Bakersfield. There's more than just confidence. There's just they are those characters.
Yeah. No, it's great to I mean to hear you how pleased you are, how happy you are about the people, how you miss them, how
Mm.
everyone is involved and how everyone gives 110% for everything beyond their paycheck and so on. It's really beautiful. I thought what there are three or two plays. I mean this episode of my podcast comes maybe in the next 2 weeks somehow.
So yeah,
So
at
what if people didn't see it by now,
yeah,
the place, but they live in Prague or want to go,
yeah.
or so could they just see the seventh or eighth play and then didn't miss anything, or what would you say?
Yes. So while we have those recurring characters that are unique to us, you do not need to have seen anything to understand a play now. I made sure of that. We, while it's also interconnected, um, those new audience members that have not seen the other shows, they are so intrigued by what's going on, not because they don't understand it, but they say, but what is behind that?
Hmm.
Who's that character? Um, because they still, even though they have been on stage before, they still work independently so well. And they don't refer to 1,000 things that happened before. We have our Easter eggs and whatnot, and the audience reacts to it. So there was a reference to the last play, last show, and people just, they ate it up. They loved it. But they are still independent stories. Um, though the last three plays are what we consider really a trilogy, the trilogy. Um,
Ooh, nice.
but even you know, the eighth play and the ninth play are connected because of something that will happen at the end of the eighth play. But even if you have not seen the eighth play, it's still explained in the ninth play. And the tenth play, while completely being prepared by the other plays, so the final problem still stands independently. The
Hmm.
final problem is connected because of the character of James Moriarty. So you do not have to have seen any other show to
Hmm.
understand any other show.
But yours
But
would be so much richer if you did.
it's a bit more fun.
Okay, yeah. Well said, Professor James Moriarty. So I don't know, do you want to share something else or should we close this case?
Well, besides Sound of the Baskervilles, we will tackle a very interesting new idea next season. So there is this character in, let's say, basically Pulp Fiction. Um, that means the genre, not the movie,
Yeah.
of Dr. Fu Manchu. So
Hmm.
he is one of the greatest uber villains of literature and film, and radio and whatnot. So this Chinese terrorist,
Hmm.
uh, the threat from the East, and well, those books are absolutely racist.
Yep.
But my co-producer on The Tempest, and not just on The Tempest by now, Alex Webster had this wonderful idea to do a new Fu
Spin.
Manchu play to basically play with audience expectations about that. And I thought, okay, there is this wonderful short story collection about Moriarty, Hunt of the Dubervilles by Kim Newman, where Moriarty has certain dealings with Fu Manchu. And there is the first League of Extraordinary Gentlemen comic by Alan Moore, where also Moriarty and Fu Manchu are, antagonists. And my idea was, okay, why don't we do a spin-off about Moriarty's world recreated with Victoria, with Sebastian Moran,
Nice.
and the character of Fu Manchu um, tries to take over Moriarty's territory in London, and there will be a gang.
Mm,
And especially with the idea of Colonel Sebastian Moran being of Indian heritage, now confronting another Asian villain puts a wonderful spin on it, full of different prejudices and full of, well, a very different angle on, the fear from, or the mystery or the enemy from the East.
mm,
The show, of course, will be written by an Asian playwright. Uh, and my Asian scenographer, for example, will also chime in with ideas to make sure, just as do several other Chinese actors I worked with over the years in Prague, that this is a play that confronts racism, prejudices, imperialism, those Western ideas of, the yellow thread. Um,
mm.
so we put a big spin on Fu Manchu, and that play, because Fu Manchu operates on the water, and especially in the underground and the sewer system. Well, we put two other characters into this because Arthur Conan established that Professor Moriarty has two brothers. One of them,
Indeed.
one of them a railway station master, um, and the other one a colonel in the army. So our idea is, okay, Moriarty needs help from his two brothers. One who knows the train network all
Mm,
over Britain, and the other who, well,
the
comes from
military.
this military background. So one of the nicknames for Fu Manchu is the Lord of Strange Deaths. The play
Mm.
will be named Professor Moriarty and the Lord of Strange
Oh,
Deaths.
nice. It's well thought out, well thought out. Gotta throw something in because like I said, I'm watching the Infinity Saga from MCU right now, and for 1 second there, I thought you're doing a Mandarin. You're doing a
So
Trevor.
no all white face agenda swap thingy thing. No, no.
No, no, no.
Uh,
I thought there's the fake Mandarin. There's the
the
fake
fake.
Fu
Yeah.
Manchu, and then
Oh,
there's just Trevor.
I was thinking about what's called the mask or whatever from Doctor Strange. No, no. But when it comes to the Mandarin, so there's this fake Mandarin Ben Kingsley idea. Um, well, the Mandarin is also based on Fu Manchu. So I would say let's
Right,
have
I
a
guess.
bit of
Yeah.
fun with the pop culture reception of this character. Let's and let's have a bit of fun when it comes to what the audience thinks.
Thanks. Yeah.
Not maybe just about the character of Fu Manchu, if they know that character at all, but about well, yeah, there we are back at prejudices
Mm,
and expectations
yeah.
and representations. Um, I love it.
Yeah, I just thought there's so much fun from your side to play with the expectations, to say one thing and drop another information, and people can think about this or that, and I think about Iron Man 3 and so on, and there's so much to think about or believe, and then you can do your thing in the shadows.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I wanted to ask something else. Okay, so you just said you have other projects that you would like or will like to do, like Moriarty spin-off
Yeah,
theater plays and so on, which I think is a great idea. Which I thought with the Young Sherlock in the first two episodes, I thought, why isn't it young Moriarty? I would be more intrigued because, like I said, I thought that Donald Finn did a masterful
yeah, yeah,
performance with him, and I would thought that Hero finds Tiffin was a little bit too plain for my taste as the protagonist, but that's his arc. That's his.
yeah.
He will become the stoic, all-knowing guy, and so on.
Look at the last scene. That was pretty much
Right, perfectly, yeah, mentioned. No, but okay, so you have spin-off ideas,
yeah.
which I think is brilliant, and it's totally in your not only portfolio but your heart.
Mm.
And
Thank you.
yeah, I forgot what I wanted to say else, but I hope I may have the opportunity to make more posters for
Yeah,
Moriarty
I'm
then.
sure you can research a bit of Fu Manchu there. Yeah,
Yes. Okay. I make the five rings. No.
yeah.
No. But no, I'm pleased that that's a nice thing. And get right that you as a consumer, as a
Mm.
guest, as audience, that you can just see each play once and it is enough, or you can understand everything. That's very,
Yeah.
very good. Um, but you would suggest it's the best to see the three last things together
Yes.
to take the best. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Anything else?
Dear listener, thank you for your time. Thanks for being curious about the Mad and Merry Man's Sherlock Holmes series. And I wish you, well, a safe journey home through unlit passageways and over dark squares. That's what I tell my horror theater audience and did on my storytelling tours. So I hope it works for you too.
Thanks for watching.